What are the best subgenres of dubstep? Based on your taste and preferences, you can make different arguments about that. In this video, I've picked 5 subgenres that I think can cover the different sides of dubstep, as well as most of today's dubstep fanbase. I'm gonna make my argument throughout the video as I explain about these subgenres, but right off the bat I wanna say that this video is mainly for people who may not be too familiar with dubstep and would like to get a quick introduction to the genre. So if you're one of them, just keep in mind that we are taking big leaps here in this video, and I've intentionally picked these 5 to show you the most prominent sides of the genre. And if you are familiar with dubstep, let us know what your favorite subgenres are. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. First on the list is Riddim. Take a look at this chart. This is basically how the original form of dubstep was born. It was a combination of reggae, dancehall, UK garage, and drum and bass. Notice how I separated them by 2 groups, because it was not always that you'd hear all 4 of them in a classic dubstep track. A lot of times it was a mixture of UK garage and drum and bass, but reggae and dancehall were present in the formation of early dubstep. And it's interesting because later on, when dubstep went through its American transformation and became more popular than ever before, those 2 groups gave birth to 2 of the most well-known subgenres of dubstep. One was Riddim and the other was Brostep. More on Brostep later. But Riddim is a subgenre that has more of a repetitive structure and is more focused on rhythm. It's also more minimalistic than other subgenres of dubstep, and I think it's fair to say that among all the popular subgenres today, Riddim sometimes still carries some of that classic dubstep elements, although the sound is of course a lot more aggressive and metallic. In terms of sound design, Riddim takes a more simplistic approach compared to other subgenres, but that does not mean that it lacks sophisticated sound design, because a lot can be done to really bring a rhythm track to life. And also, Riddim easily makes up for that approach by putting more focus on the rhythmic aspect of the music. So that's Riddim in a nutshell. Here are some examples of Riddim. If I get a copyright strike on any of these tracks, I'm gonna have to cut off the audio temporarily, but I'll put the track names on the video so you can find them anyway. Next on the list is Brostep. Brostep is actually the sound that most people know as dubstep. I just briefly mentioned the transformation of dubstep when it went to America. Well, this is that transformation. I don't want to spend too much time on this era because it's been explained so many times before by other people. But just keep in mind that most of all the dubstep you hear today has evolved from this point on, somewhere in the early 2010s. The American dubstep scene was what globalized the genre. I'm not sure when the term Brostep was first used, but Brostep is generally very energetic and is more focused on the mid-range frequency sounds compared to the original dubstep, which was more focused on lower frequency basses. Also, modulated sounds are very common in Brostep. Every sound is very fluid and very saturated and very powerful. And in terms of sound design, there's always a wide variety of different sounds in Brostep. Brostep generally has a simpler rhythmic structure than Riddim. But instead of using short percussive sounds to make complex rhythms, Brostep uses bass wobbles and a lot of modulation to create an exciting flow. Of course, none of these are strict rules, and you can definitely find tracks that sound somewhere in between, but generally you can recognize Brostep by simpler rhythms, a very colorful sound design, and heavy wobbly basses. Here are some examples of Brostep. The next one is Melodic Dubstep. Definitely one of the most popular subgenres of dubstep. Melodic dubstep, as the name implies, is all about beautiful melodies. One of the most notable characteristics of melodic dubstep is the drops. As much as Brostep favors heavy drops that are focused on basses and growls, the drops in melodic dubstep are very harmonious melodies. Also, the use of vocals is very common in melodic dubstep, as well as other features like a lot of synth chords, a lot of arpeggios, and an abundance of melodic leads. This is the type of dubstep that's less focused on heavy basses and complex rhythms, and instead it revolves around melodies. And perhaps that's why it's one of the more mainstream subgenres of dubstep. Here are some examples of melodic dubstep. The next subgenre may not be as mainstream as melodic dubstep yet, but it's definitely one of the most interesting subgenres of dubstep, and it totally deserves a place on this top 5 list. But before we get to that, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Now let's talk about this next subgenre, that is Deathstep. Deathstep is essentially a combination of death metal and dubstep, and is without a doubt one of the heaviest musical genres today. This is where the guitar riffs, the dark melodies, and the harsh screams of death metal meet the heavy electronic beats and machine gun basses of dubstep. And sometimes there is also an additional layer of orchestral sounds in Deathstep tracks, which makes the music sound way more epic. In terms of sound design, there's a weight to every sound in Deathstep. Nothing is light and playful. A lot of the sounds are very distorted, and there is always a dark and ominous atmosphere in Deathstep tracks. Here are some examples of Deathstep. And the last subgenre on my list is Chillstep. In the intro of this video, I said that this is meant to be a quick tour of all the different sides of dubstep. Well, here we are. This subgenre is the soft side of dubstep. We had Brostep and its aggressive basses. We had melodic dubstep and its bright and energetic melodies. We had Deathstep and its dark melodies and distorted atmosphere. And this is Chillstep, a subgenre that's known for its relaxed atmosphere and lush pads and ethereal plucks. A subgenre that often contains soft melodic vocals and a lot of reverbs on its instruments. Chillstep is also where dubstep can meet classical instruments. It's where we can hear pianos and orchestral sounds every now and then. And it has all this flexibility while still maintaining its dubstep characteristics. Here are some examples of Chillstep. That's it for this video, guys. Let me know which ones are your favorites in the comments. And if this video was helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more. See ya!